Hi, my name's Tyrone Shum from Internet Business Path. Firstly, I wanted to welcome you to actually view this video. As you can probably see, it's kind of a bit cold at the moment. It's Sydney weather. It's dropped down to like 15 to 20 degrees, which is freezing. So I have to actually wear this fleecy top, and it's very, I guess, uncommon to feel this way at this time of year. It's June, so it's kind of nearing on the tip of winter, but it's come quite early. And I'm actually inside my apartment, and inside the apartment it's usually quite warm, but unfortunately today it's been very, very cold. So yeah, this is winter weather. But what I wanted to talk to you about today is something that's very, very common that I see a lot of issues with a lot of e-commerce websites. And what it is that a lot of websites out there don't have very good site navigation. And I just probably want to give you a few quick tips and a few points to actually look out at to try and help you improve your e-commerce website. Now, there's a lot of sites out there that have provided very, very nice, fancy image e-commerce websites that have these really nice designs. But unfortunately, their navigation is absolutely appalling. And I like to be able to show you some, which I try and actually lay some out, hopefully in the post. But I wanted to just talk to you about the main points that I wanted to help you and also get you to benefit from, so that you can actually have a very good site navigation. Okay, so number one, the first thing that I wanted to talk to you about is stick to a vertical or horizontal navigation bar. Now, a lot of websites out there are very common to actually have it on the right hand side. So if you're actually viewing this, what you probably want to be doing is looking here. Actually, I should do it on the other side. It should be over here that you should be able to see the navigation. And a lot of them are usually menus that actually go down on the right hand side of the screen. And I recommend probably to stick to that. Very good websites out there have very standard right hand navigations. One or two key points that I want to make sure and tell you is try to not drift away from that common navigation bar. Instead of going, for example, to the right hand side, don't do that, or going down to the bottom navigation, don't do that. Just stick to the navigation bar on the left hand side, which is a very, very common way to look at it. And by doing that, users can actually go, okay, I see the actual navigation here, and I actually want to be able to go, okay, bang, 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 bang. And that helps them actually get through to your site. And ultimately, if they can find what they're looking for, it leads to a sale for you. So having a good navigation is very important, and your navigation menu there, which I just talked about, is crucial. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about is number two, use breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs, if you don't know what they are, they're just basically a small little links at the top of your page or at the top of your products. Now, these links are actually not just links. They're sort of like a category or department store broken down into different, different sections. So, for example, if we're shopping in a department store and we go to, say, the toy section, within the toy section you might have games, and then in the game section you might have, for example, Monopoly. So at the top they'll probably have a breakdown of the different levels of, say, for example, where you are. So the first one, as I mentioned, would be the department, which is, for example, toys. Then the category that it breaks down to, which is games, and then the particular product or section that you're looking at, which is Monopoly. So those things you want to be able to make sure that you show to the customers, so if they ever need to jump back to the previous, they can actually see where it is and click on it straight away. That helps with their navigation. The third thing I want to mention is keep your navigation consistent. I know it sounds simple and I know it sounds common sense, but a lot of sites out there don't do that. They seem to have this really great website and the front of the design is really nice, and then when you click on there you kind of feel lost because it's a completely different change in design. What they want to be able to feel is as soon as you land on their page or onto your page, they want to be able to go, okay, this is what I'm going to see. The only thing that really changes is really the middle section or your content section, and that's really where the products are. The rest of it, the navigation areas around it, should all remain consistent and shouldn't change too much, or let alone be changed at all. So that's three. Number four, show visitors where they are. So a lot of people get mixed or get lost within just a shopping centre, and they end up having to try and find a street directory. The same thing as well in your site navigation. Yes, it's important to have a sitemap, but they want to know exactly where they are. And you know how actually when you go to in the shopping center where there says a shopping directory, or the directory of the whole shopping mall, and then they've got this big arrow that says you are here. Well, you want to do that, but not that kind of bold. What you want to try and do is that you want to be able to say to them, or show to them at the top, there's a link there, just like how I said in the breadcrumbs, where the section is at Monopoly. They want to be able to click on that and then go, okay, this is where I am, and see that also too. So you want to make sure that it's very obvious for them that they're actually seeing that they're at Monopoly. I know it sounds a bit simple and very common sense, but trust me, a lot of visitors out there, when they visit a site, if they don't see where they are, they'll just leave and then they'll go, oh, I don't know where I am. The other thing is you want to show them where they've been. That's probably also the fifth thing that I want to talk to you about, is showing where they have been is very simple. You want to make sure within your site design is when they've clicked on the link that they've gone to, it actually changes color. A lot of websites do that, and it's very standard, very common. But if that doesn't happen in your site, you want to make sure that does. And it's just simply getting either your web developer or you do it yourself, and by editing, for example, the CSS style sheets. Or otherwise, get someone to do it because it's quite technical. In my own business, I usually get someone to do that for me, but I make sure I tell them exactly what I want. So make sure that you show the visitors where they've been. Another very, very big mistake that a lot of people do, or a lot of business owners don't realize doing on their website, is using readable fonts. Now, the standard fonts that people that usually read and use on their websites is either New Times Romans, which is very easy to use and very easy to read, but it's not the most prettiest. So a lot of people either go to Arial or to Homer. You probably should. I should probably recommend those are probably the main fonts. Oh, also Veranda as well. Those are probably the three main fonts that you should make sure that's on your website, because people want to be able to see your website and read the descriptions, the product names, and those important things. And if a font is so messy, like comic script or whatever, then people are just going to be turned away and will not come back to your shop to buy anything. Finally, the last point I want to make is that a very simple one, but also a very powerful way, is at the top of your website usually should be your logo. Usually it should be on the top left hand side. Now you want to make sure that your logo is clickable, and I found that a lot of websites out there are still not doing that, which is quite surprising, and most developers usually make that standard. But people want to be able to go click on their website and on that logo, I should say, and be able to be taken back to the home page. And you want to be able to offer that to customers as well. So make sure those things are in place. I've pretty much explained to you those main things. Let me just recap to you. Okay. Firstly, stick to vertical or horizontal navigation, which is what I talked about at the first point. Second point is use breadcrumb trails. The third point is limit the number of menu options. Fourth point is keep your navigation consistent. Fifth is show your visitors where they are. Sixth is show your visitors where they've been. Seventh is use readable fonts. And lastly, make sure that your company logo is clickable and it should take you straight back to the home page. So hopefully I've given you some rundown today of how to actually create a good site navigation for your e-commerce business, and you'll be able to take these practical tips away and be able to apply them. I hope that all these tips and these ideas are simple for you to be able to understand. If not, I would recommend you give it to your website developer or whoever is managing your website and give that a shot. So that's it for today, and I hope you enjoy the quick tips that I've given you today. And remember to come back to check out my posts and also leave your comments, and I'd love to hear about your feedback. So have a great day.